I am speaking to you from the Cabinet Room at 10 Downing Street. This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
I lived in Granville Road, Tidal Base, and that was in Canning Town. When I was quite young. I think I may have been born there. Next door to my Granny Shepherd, and her little family, and a few other neighbours that sort of moved into Mary Street, you know, some of the names I remember. Yeah. Both my grandparents had lots of children, and as far as I know, they all lived in Mary Street. And my mum and my dad, sort of a boy, girl next door to one another, and that's how they met. Never moved out of your area, really, because we were poor, really. My mum had 7 brothers and 7 sisters, all living in a 4-roomed house with no bathroom and a scullery. As they grew, they left home because they were mostly boys. So as soon as a boy got to 12 or 13, they got a job. And then they got married. I don't know. They just contributed to the household. But as soon as they were able, they left home, you see. So therefore, the house wasn't full of 15 children. It was, you know, went in stages sort of thing. There wasn't hardly any work about. I don't know why. I suppose it was mostly docks and going to on the sea to fishermen. I don't know what they used to do, but there was not hardly any building going on, you know. But it was after the war, because they knocked all the houses down. There was a lot of building come on the scene. So you know, but you couldn't go to work, no money, because there was no jobs. Nevertheless, they used to have loads of children. You know, all the girls slept together, and I said all the boys slept together. There's only 2 bedrooms upstairs, and a front room downstairs, and the kitchen area, say, and the scullery. I don't know where they all bathed or shut. Oh, there were baths, that's right. There was a place you could go and have a bath if you wanted, yeah. Pay money. My dad, he had 7 sisters. I mean, the first sister, she was born 5 years before him. My granny was 15 when she had her, and my granddad went off to sea, and when he came back she was 5, and then my dad was born, and then she went on to have 6 more girls. Yeah. They told me about seeing the soldiers on the Canning Town Bridge with guns when he was a young boy, the 1914-18 war. And that was all he ever said. Luckily, he didn't have to go because he was too young. He was the only boy in the family, and my granny would have been devastated, you know, if he'd have gone. He was a machine minder in flour mills. That's as far as I know. He used to work for Warner Brothers, I think Warner Brothers came into it, or Hovis. He used to ask my mother to buy Hovis bread because it was recommended, because it was wholemeal bread, you know. She never did. Didn't have any money. It was just lived with little bit of money that your dad earned. He earned about 9 shillings a week, and he had to pay 6 shillings for rent, so that left 3 shillings to live on. But my mum was like a magician with the food and the money. She was really clever in that respect. Didn't buy new clothes. She used to knit everything. Knit clothes for us, you know, all the time. Little dresses. I've got a picture of the us 3 girls all in dresses, you know, what she knitted. Amazing. The landlords at that time were really rich and greedy. They had houses. I mean, there was another family downstairs, must have been paying the same money, and they were horrible to the poor people, really. You know, how they could do it, I don't know. But you all had to live together, moving with somebody else, you know, and the hygiene must have been terrible, really. Somebody would be building something outside in the street, they'd plonk a load of sand down, pile of sand down, and the children, like seaside, didn't it, go out and play in the sand. I got impetigo. Yeah, I mean, it's caused by dirt getting into a sore. That's what it was. They said that I caught it from playing with industrial sand, and I had a little cut here, and it got in there. That's what they said how I got it. But I don't know, do I? But as I say, there was no antibiotics whatsoever. My middle sister, she said she remembers seeing them pull off a big piece of lint off my back, because my back was covered in sores, pulled it off, and all the skin came off and everything else. She said she was horrified. She remembered that. She used to tell me that. She remembered that. I mean, I don't remember any of the pain or suffering. I just remember these mittens, and I had to sleep in a wooden bed chair because it was contagious, you know. But there was no antibiotics or anything like that. No medication. I mean, I should imagine it was just like calamine lotion or Vaseline or something like that you put on you. But I don't know how long I had it for, but I think it was all over. I can't remember it being on my face, but I know I had to wear these mittens. And I must have only been about 3 or 4. That's the first memory, I think. I remember playing in the street with little neighbours next door. That's about it, really. You were safe to play outside, you know. Didn't have to worry about anybody. First thing I remember about the war was with my family, my dad and my mum, 2 sisters, looking out of the window towards the docks and seeing the sky all red, like all on fire, and a bomb was coming down like that. I don't know what sort of bomb it was, because I thought they'd just come down straight, but it might have been on a little parachute. I don't know what Germans did at those times. But it was already on fire, the docks then. So why we were still staying in the house, I don't know. But where would you go? You know, you wake up. I mean, I was only little, so I may have been in bed, I don't know. But my mum and dad might have been still up. But Hitler bombed the docks and set it all alight. I only remember being in a pram and knowing that we were going somewhere, and it was to this bridge, but I don't remember going under the bridge or just being in the pram, that's all. A big bouncy pram it was. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I can't remember. Just triggers in my mind. And after that, the next vivid memory was being in Liverpool, coming down the stairs with the bombs and flashes and God knows what going on. Running to the shelter down below. Just remember this staircase, running down the staircase with bombs, flashes, big flashes and noise, you know, like big fireworks going off. And it was all a glass, it was all glass, all the wind down the side of the staircase. A stone staircase, and I remember clattering down the stairs, running like crazy, you know, for your life really, to get to the shelter, which was in a underneath a big building, right deep. And I remember going down into the shelter. It was all dark and horrible. I was really frightened. There were lots of bunk beds and men sort of sitting there looking at you sort of thing. And being only a child, you were frightened of bogeymen sort of thing, you know. I remember that. But nothing else after that. Oh, I can remember sitting when there wasn't any bombs in the daytime, having in the flat where we were put. And somebody gave me a banana and I didn't even know what it was. I'd never seen a banana before, but I think it was because we were in Liverpool docks and the fruit used to come in. But I should imagine it used to go to the rich people. It couldn't have come to us, could it? Couldn't have come to us. Maybe too expensive, I don't know. But whether my dad nicked it, I don't know. Took it home for his kids. It was only one. One banana. I think you had a choice, but it was for your own good really, and I mean it all had to be organised because of the people that were accepting the evacuees. You know, they all had to be paid. You know, they got paid for having us, so it all had to be done through the government. When the government ordered the children to go, we all, you know, everybody got a name tag and their case. Went to the railway station. You've seen pictures of it, I think, of children getting on the train and waving goodbye to their parents. And yeah, that was sad that time. The children didn't know what was going to happen, you know. It was like a holiday for them, you know. And we all got sent to different places. And as I say, we ended up in this hall being chosen by the villagers, really. If somebody wanted 2 or 3 or 4. As I say, there was 4 of us, so I don't know whether this couple that chose us chose 4, I don't know. Depending on how many rooms they had in their house, like, you know. When the government ordered all the children to be evacuated, Mari and Joan went to a clinic because Auntie Joan had an infected ear, and she couldn't go to her home, so she had to go to a clinic. Auntie Mari went with her. Mari said she's not going on her own. I mean, she's 11. She wouldn't let her go on her own. And she remembers sitting on the floor in a room, all the children sitting on the floor, just doing nothing. And they were locked in. Yeah, they couldn't get out at all. They just stayed there, like a hospital type place. And as I say, Mari didn't have anything wrong with her. I bet she did when she come home, caught something. She said that one night they decided they were going to escape. And they both got up late, about 11ish, I should imagine, crept down the stairs, the pair of them. This is what she told me. That, bearing in mind, Auntie Mari was about 11, Joni was about 8.5. Creeping down the stairs to the front door, and when they got there, the door was locked, so they couldn't get out. So they had to go back up again. They told me they tried to escape. That's all I remember about them. Yeah, that's the sort of family we come from. You go for it, you know. But it must have been terrible for them because, you know, there's all these children, they probably, some had measles or mumps or whatever, what diseases they had, all in this clinic, away from everybody, see? They had nurses there, you know, keep eye on them. But Mari didn't have anything wrong with her, but she stayed with Joni. All she had was a cracked ear and just needed a bit of ointment, antibiotic. We didn't have antibiotics then, so to wait for it to heal itself. Oh dear, I don't know. It was okay for me because it was an adventure to me. I remember a big old piano, so it must have been a school hall type thing or a church hall, I don't know. But running about behind the piano, stuff like that. You can't expect kids to just stand still, you know. I remember, yeah, being there. I don't remember being chosen, you know. Then I remember being in the bungalow. They had a dog, and he used to. They had a whistling kettle. They had this big old range, old-fashioned fire range. She used to leave her kettle on there all the time, really, because it was warm. And when this kettle whistled, the dog used to bark, and that, because being a child, that used to fascinate me. I think it was so clever, you know. And I remember being in bed with my cousin, in a lovely big soft bed, all white and clean and lovely and comfortable. And we used to live on Flock. Flock was just. What can I say? It was just cut up material, I should imagine. I can't remember what Flock was. Hard, not like a big soft feather bed. I mean, you get a lovely feather bed. It was lovely. Really appreciated it. I was only 5. Big soft pillows. Yeah, it was lovely. I don't remember missing my mum. No, I didn't. I remember playing in the garden. They must have been quite well off because they had 2 lilos, a blue one and a red one. And me and my cousin chose one each. And that was ours. You used to play in the garden with that. And I can remember picking something off a tree that the lady who was in charge of us, doctor she was, said you mustn't take, it might have been fruit or something, you mustn't take things off the tree. You can pick them up off the floor, but you mustn't pick them off the tree. and I picked them off the tree and I got a slap on the hand. And I remember that. I got smacked on the hand, which I didn't tell my mum till that was my character. Oh, I had my birthday there. Well, I can't remember getting the card by post because I wouldn't have known any of that. I acquired this card, so whether my mum had it and she gave it to me when, you know, we all got back together again, I don't know. I don't remember having any cards or anything. I don't remember any presents. I mean, I may have done, but I don't remember. Not long after that, my mum come and got me, took me home. I remember her turning up at the door, and I don't know if it's true, but I remember having my hair washed in a bowl by the front door, bowled on a chair. I was having my hair washed in black soap because I had nits of fleas. I don't know whether that was when my mum turned up or whether it was when we arrived, I don't know, but I remember that. Because in Canyon Town, everybody had fleas. Oh, awful. And my sister Mari, she used to get a nit comb and go through my hair, trying to find the fleas. Yeah, she tortured me, she did. I was only young. They said that after the 6 weeks I was talking posh because I was a Cockney kid when I went. I come back talking posh. They couldn't believe it, sounding all my words properly. I was only 5. Because we lived down Mary Street, I had loads of aunties living down there. They didn't all go to work. My mum went to work. And some of them had really young children, so they couldn't go. They maybe managed on their money that was being sent home. I think one auntie, my uncle, didn't go because he was exempt for some reason. I think if they worked in the dock, well, they didn't go. I don't know, I can't remember. But they had their money. But Nanny used to work in this factory, and she'd leave us. Mari would be 12, 13, 14. I would be about 6 or 7. Old enough, you know, to look after yourself. But there was always these aunties in the street to keep her eye out for you, you know. You knew you were safe. You didn't pay them or anything, just assumed that they would be looked after. But I remember my mum telling me off because I used to be left to say, don't forget to wash up, right? My friend, my mate along the road, she used to love coming in our house. They didn't have a butler sink like us. We had a butler sink put in and a draining board. And she loved to wash up, so I used to let her wash up. My mum come home and said, what are you doing? Bridget her name was. Making her do washing up. I said, well, she wants to do it. I'm supposed to be doing my chores and I'll let my friend do it. The elderly people, the elderly men mostly, were air raid wardens. Yeah, so if you were, I should imagine 45, 50 or 55, they had to do their bit. You had to have a blanket up the window or anything black to shut out the light. You couldn't put the light on unless you had the blackout curtains on. And if you did have a chink of light shining through, you had a air raid warden come round and knock on your door and tell you to make sure, you know, that it wasn't showing through. Yeah, they just shout out, put that light out. Yeah. You know, they called up all the young men, but they used to call up all the young women as well to work on the land army, in the land army. Whether you not had a career or whatever, you could get an exemption if you had a special job, like, you know. But one lady we met later on in life, she was in the land army, and she used to go and work on the land, go and live on the farm and help the farmers, because all the men had gone to war, you see. Really well, it was really well organised. That's what I'm saying about Churchill, you know. We did a lot of things right. And my mum got herself a job in a cigarette factory, and I should imagine it was mostly the men that worked, you know, and brought home the money. But once they went to war, somebody had to carry on, you know, and keep things going. So that's employ the women. And that's why where this thing, equalities for women, came in, because the women are as good as the men, are doing jobs and, you know, carrying on. And my mum was a magician with cooking, you know, making things stretch. But you were only allocated what the government said you could have. I mean, babies could have 1 egg a week. I couldn't have an egg, so I wasn't young enough. Just, you got a little bit of butter, so many ounces of sugar. I think the milk was okay. We used to have dried milk, dried egg. I think we used to get dried egg from America, I'm not sure. That was quite nice, actually. Yeah, they used to dry it in America and send it over, yeah. America helped out a lot. With corned beef as well. I can remember having, what was it, condensed milk on bread instead of jam, because you couldn't get jam. Or just a piece of bread and marge sprinkled with a bit of sugar, which was a little sweet treat, like, you know. I think my mum used to stretch it. You got so much meat, a couple of ounces or whatever, and she'd stretch it a mile, you know. You'd make pies, pastries and cakes and stuff like that. You had to, otherwise you couldn't survive, really. I can remember her coming out, always on a Monday, coming home, and it was washing day. I was in Mary Street, and I remember coming home from school, and she'd have all these lines in the living room stretched across with all the washing, because it was raining outside. Go in there and try and get... You never really tried. Honestly, it was... Didn't have no washing machines either. There was a thing called the bag wash, which you put all your whites in a pillowcase, take it to the shop. And my auntie ran the shop, and you get a lorry come. She'd put a number on your pillowcase. You take it to this industrial place and do your washing like that. How it never ever got mixed up. It used to puzzle me how it never got mixed up. It's come back. That was whites, but you could send your colours as well in a different thing, because colours would have run or they would have shrunk. You know, I think probably my mum did those by hand. But the bag wash used to go and come back nice and white, you know, could smell the bleach on it. But that's where she would hang it straight up. It would still be wet when they collected it, like, you know. It's all clever stuff. We had an old copper in the scullery to get your hot water. It was copper, stone copper in the corner. You wanted to have a bath, like, you'd light it underneath with whatever. And my friend was telling me when I was at work that her mum used to light the copper and put a stander in it while it was alight, like just lighting up, and she said it used to get hotter and hotter, and she'd grabbed again. Can you imagine that? Oh dear. And we had this big tin bath that used to hang outside the front back door, and bring it in only once a week. Once a week, we had a bath, all in more or less in the same water. My poor dad used to go in last. I can imagine Mari and Joni getting in first because they were old enough to understand about hygiene. I didn't care where I got in, but I probably got in with Joni. He was only little. And then Nanny, and then my dad, yeah. But he only had like a red soap, like carbolic soap, which is supposed to be good for killing germs. I don't know if it did or not. I don't know. Carbolic soap. We never had any scented soap or shower gel or anything like that. Yeah. Toilet was outside, and I don't remember having a light. It was attached to the house. Where the sink was in the corner, there was a wall, but there was a space at the top. And over there was the toilet, so it was connected to the cold tap light, you know. So if you was at the sink and somebody was in the toilet, you could hear them. But we used to have to walk out the back door, down the alleyway, and then the toilet was there. But I used to have nightmares about that because I hated going out in the dark. Because when you go to bed, you've got to have a wee, haven't you, before you go to bed. And I'll tell you about the pot. Nanny had a pot, and you couldn't get up in the night. I mean, some people had buckets, I suppose. I don't know, but we had a pot, a po, and one night I was bursting, and I went into their room and done a wee on the pot. And the next morning, it was about that from the top. She had to carry it. I don't know how she carried it down without spilling any. I got told off for that. The scullery was a step down from like I would say, the living room, where the table and chairs were, an armchair, radio, didn't have a telly, sideboard, yeah, quite crowded actually. And then you walked down to the scullery, and that's where you did all your whatever. Cooking and whatever. All you had was a few stations. You'd get the news. I think it was maybe a children's hour or something. We used to sit right on top of the radio so you could hear it, you know, and it was always up high. Yeah, and on a Sunday we used to have music, like disc jockey type thing. And we used to get messages, I think we used to have messages, no, we used to have messages from the soldiers sending messages home to their families, that type of thing. And playing a tune for them, yeah. Yeah, you know, you always found out that there was going to be a speech from Churchill.
Miracle to those outside these islands, though we ourselves never doubted it. We now find ourselves in a position where I say we can be sure that we have only to persevere to conquer. These are not dark days. These are great days. The greatest our country has ever lived. And we must all thank God that we have been allowed, each of us according to our station, to play a part in making these days memorable in the history of our race. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
We didn't know anything about what was going on, you know, in the government or nothing like this, you know, didn't see anything. Apart from the newspapers. Yeah. Yeah, the newspapers used to publish a lot, you know. But it was comforting to hear Churchill, actually. You used to think, well, you know, he's looking after us, sort of thing, you know. Well, that's the feeling I had, you know. I don't know about the adults, whether he was doing right or wrong, I don't know. But we used to hear about Rommel and the fighting on the front, stuff like that, you know. Or you'd see a big list of people that have been killed in the paper and stuff, you know. Terrible, really. Yeah. He said he was going to have the Blitz, but he didn't for 6 weeks. And then when we all come back, he started.